Hey Pokemon fans, Real Mama Eagle here, also known as Key, and today I'll be talking about the worst Pokemon designs in every single generation. The opinions in this video are subjective, you may feel differently, and if you do, talk to me in the comments section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, ding that notification bell so you know when my videos are up, and let's get started. Let's start with Generation 1. Now, Generation 1 does have some great and amazing Pokemon designs that still hold up to this day, but there are some that are just very bad or too literal, so I have a couple ones I want to point out here. I definitely want to start with Voltorb and Electrode. For starters, it's just a simple Pokeball. That's it. Except Voltorb is a Pokeball with an angry face and Electrode is a Pokeball with a happy face. So what? Voltorb's angry, doesn't like his life, he evolves, and suddenly he's happy as Electrode and loves everything. Always been kind of weird to me. The second worst design in Generation 1 is definitely Jinx. Especially its original design because it was flat out disturbing and honestly kind of racist. But it definitely has not held up well over time, and even as a kid I was always a bit uncomfortable when I looked at Jinx's design just because it never seemed right to me. The third worst design that I would rank in Gen 1 is the Muck and Grimer evolution line. I know that Muck and Grimer are very popular here, but there really wasn't as much creativity as people thought. Literally just a pile of sludge with a hand coming out. And if you look at Muck closely, he looks like a pile of sludge that's low-key giving the finger, so it's definitely always been weird to me. But those are definitely some very bad designs in Gen 1. Now, there are other ones that are very literal in Generation 1, like Krabby, like Seal, that are literally just that animal, but I wouldn't necessarily call them bad. In Generation 2, there are definitely two Pokemon that stick out to me as being some of the most poorly designed in the entire Pokedex. Let's start with Dunsparce because one, what the heck is Dunsparce? It's giving a snake and an insect hybrid with very, very small wings and a weird, just off-putting design. It makes no sense to me, and I don't even get why it's normal typing, it should be bug typing. But they said in ancient times that Dunsparce could fly. With those tiny wings, there's no way it could fly itself anywhere, so somebody at Game Freak is definitely lying. The second design in Gen 2, I would definitely say is one of the worst, is Sunflower, because it's literally just a sunflower with a creepy smile pasted onto it. I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea or who thought that would be something that would be fun to look at, but honestly, when I look at Sunflora, it makes me a little bit creeped out and a little bit afraid of sunflowers, and they could have been a bit more innovative and they were just too literal with it. When it comes to Generation 3, I actually had to think pretty hard to find a design that was considered the worst for me, just because I, to this day, still feel like Gen 3 has one of the best Pokedexes, if not the best Pokedex. But the worst design Pokemon in Generation 3 for me has to be the Lileep and Cradily evolution line. For starters, if you look at Lileep, it looks like an evil suction cup that can masquerade as an evil flower with its creepy tentacles, and I'll be honest, I just look at it and I get very uncomfortable. If I went into a field of flowers or an area where Lileep like to hang out, I would probably run and I would probably fear for my life. Then it evolves into Cradily, which is even creepier looking. Looks like a really twisted, angry, evil plant that's gonna suck out my life force and leave me hanging somewhere. I just never liked them both, and I always felt a little bit uncomfortable whenever I looked at either design. Generation 4 is one of my favorite generations, but the Pokedex has always irritated me, and it still does to this day. There are so many designs in it that make me ask so many questions as to what Game Freak was thinking. Almost were they trying to be a little bit too smart, but my complaints list end with the extra evolutions to Gen 1 or Gen 2 Pokemon. But there are two that are just a crime and should be illegal. Let's start with Licky Licky. For starters, why does it exist? It doesn't need to. Lickitung doesn't even need to exist, but they decided for some reason, let's take a Pokemon with a giant tongue that already makes people uncomfortable and let's make them a little bit more uncomfortable. I'm not sure what they were quite going for, but every time I look at Licky Licky, I'm very disturbed. It almost feels slightly X-rated to an extent, and it's just something that I have never liked to lay my eyes on. And then it gets worse because I have to look at Tangrowth on top of Licky Licky. I'm not sure what they were doing with either evolution, but Tangrowth is also uncomfortable. I always found Tangela a little bit weird with the eyes peeking out through the grass, but they decided to take it a step further with Tangrowth and give it these big giant hands and give it these scary giant eyes, and it looks like it's gonna chase you around. Maybe I'm a little bit traumatized from Pokemon Snap because in the first level at nighttime, that Tangrowth scared the crap out of me. That could be why, but design-wise, there's just too many vines, too much going on. They almost overdid it with Tangrowth for me. But Licky Licky and Tangrowth, ugh. Generation 5 definitely has some question marks in the Pokedex that could be honed in on as the worst, but I have one in particular. No, it's not Vanillux, you haters, because Vanillux is actually cute and very wholesome, and it's not Garbodor because Garbodor is strong and actually a very clever take on trash. Leave me alone. But the worst design in Generation 5 for me has to be Stunkfisk. Stunkfisk is like a weird adaptation of a flat flounder laying on its back, but its face and nose kind of look squished and upside down, and it's a really weird color palette. Its shiny looks better than its original, so we do have to give it some credit, but it was just a poor, lazily, and badly thought out design that just looks floppy and just lame, honestly. And it's weird because it has such a great type combination, electric and ground, but they could have made up for it with a better design. I actually thought that Generation 6 did a really good job with the Pokedex, and there's not really many Pokemon in the decks that I don't like, but if I had to pick the worst design, I would have to go with Binacle and Barbaracle, honestly. And I get it, it's supposed to be based on a barnacle, and barnacles are not supposed to be pretty, but these are bad designs because they're simply just ugly and weird. If you look at Binacle, it's literally 2 feet coming out of a rock, and that's weird. And then it evolves into Barbaracle, which gets extra hands, extra legs, but there's no face, but there's extra rocks, so it's kind of weird and it makes you uncomfortable. I do like the typing, and I do like the strength that it shows, and I do like using it in battle. Yes, I actually did. But its design is just one that is a little bit too clunky and a little bit too overthought as far as making it too literal or too ugly. I'm not sure what Game Freak was going for, but it definitely is the worst design in the generation. Generation 7 definitely had some duds in the Pokedex, but there are 2 that stick out for me in particular. One is Gumshoos. Gumshoos is the Mongoose Pokemon, and we all know who it reminds us of. But it's just an ugly Pokemon that's really creepy looking. It's big, giant teeth. It is a bit intimidating, don't get me wrong, but I just don't like its design. And I really think that they tried too hard to make it look like a human instead of a mongoose. The second worst design in Generation 7, I would have to say, is Bruxish the fish. I don't know what they were thinking with its giant teeth. It's really overly girly-like appearance. It's like they were trying to make it sexy, but it just didn't work. It looks like someone just took a weird-looking fish, went into Microsoft Paint, and just went absolutely bonkers with it, but I never really cared for the design. It's just probably one of the ugliest Pokemon in the Pokedex and probably in the Pokemon universe altogether. Generation 8 definitely had some Pokemon designs that were a little bit weird, but there are 2 that stick out to me in this case. Let's start with Berserker. I understand that they probably wanted to give some love to Meowth because they gave other Gen 1 Pokemon Galarian forms and love, but Meowth really just didn't need that kind of attention, let's be honest. Berserker looks like Meowth went on a bender, a Hunger Strike, and just let himself go over the last 20 years since Gen 1 was a thing, but it definitely is a Pokemon that is a little bit excessive to me. The second worst design in Generation 8, I would have to say, is SQ. SQ is actually one of those Pokemon that had the potential to be super cute, but they ruined it. You could have given me an adorable little penguin Pokemon because I like penguins and I like the ice type. You could have made a cute little ice penguin, but instead you decided to give it a weird penguin body and put the ice over top of the head. And yes, I get the story behind it, but I just thought that they were trying to do a little bit too much with it. Do you agree or disagree with my worst design Pokemon picks? If not, talk to me in the comments section down below and let me know what Pokemon you think are the worst design in each generation. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ding that notification bell for upcoming videos. I am also Real Mama Eagle on all social media platforms, and I do live streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealMamaEagle. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you all so much, and I will see you next time.